Okay, and I'm back. So, as far as um, this story is concerned, I'm going to admit that this is not a new concept. I have worked on this story in the past. All right, I'm gonna have to really get in character here. All right, let's get some water first, actually. Okay. Eric opens a new pack of cards and palms the ace. And with the forced shuffle, he has complete control of the game. At the table is a Senate member, a DEA official, and the son of a wealthy banker from Abernathy Trust. And he's my mark. Eric deals out the hands, so currently the banker's son has an 8 of hearts and a 7 of clubs. He's a novice, so he thinks he's onto something. The Senate member has a queen and an ace. And a DEA member has nothing, but he's going to try and get himself out of this rut. Everybody checks, obviously, because nobody wants to overplay their hand. Then comes the flop. A 6, a queen, and a 9. The banker's son thinks he's onto a straight, so he bets 4,000. The Senate member calls and raises with another 2,000 with the pair. And the DEA member calls as well, even though he has neither the cards nor the funds to back him up. With the banker's son putting in another 2,000, the pot is right, sitting pretty at $18,035, with the small and big blind included. Out comes the turn, the ace that Eric palmed. Now the senator has 2 pair, and the banker's son is starting to sweat a little. If only he could get a pair at the very least, then he could turn this around in his favor, he thinks. He's seen enough movies, and it always turns out this way. The senator bets another 4,000, and the banker's son calls. He doesn't want to seem like a pussy, but he's also hoping that his opponent backs out. The DEA member does, folding and sitting back in his chair with his hands over his face. Bad night for him. The river comes out, and the grand design is revealed. A queen, giving the senator a full house and the banker's son nothing. The senator plays it cool, betting 4,000 again. The banker's son is getting suspicious, but he hasn't learned to think about other people's cards yet. Now he's hoping that if he bets big, the senator will give in and fold. She's not gonna, not on this hand. He raises her 6,000, and she calls, not wanting to scare him off. Now the pot is at a glorious $46,035, and the senator is getting real excited. The senator turns her cards over, and the banker's son looks on them with fear in his eyes. He grudgingly flips over his own hand, and as the senator piles the chips onto her side of the table, I smile. That's how you put 2 people in your pocket at the same time. Monarch City is the best place for a person like me. Gambling has been my life, ever since my mother taught me the art in the living room of the studio apartment the 3 of us shared. Dad got busted for illegal 3-card Monty when I was a little girl. And he's been in the slammer because of bad behavior. Not that I really care that much. Dude could barely manage a hello over practicing his Monty shuffle. My mom taught me the games in his stead. And once I was old enough, I ran away from home and tried to make it on my own in the dangerous town. Didn't really do too well until I ran into Eric. By far the most skilled card handler I'd ever met. He was just some nobody kid in the gutter when I found him one time while outrunning the cops. But after discovering how good he was at cards, I enlisted his help. Together, we've built a gambling empire right here in the heart of the dirty and smoggy Monarch City. Our little slice of heaven. Everybody's looking for their next big break in a pack of cards, and I'm willing to provide. For the right price. As you can probably tell by now, most of my games are rigged, but the real trick for anybody who enters my gambling parlors is knowing which games are good and which aren't. That's how I really make my money, see? I supply little tips to people who shell out a little dough, and in return, I give them a backdoor to quick success. Once I get enough money, I let Eric know, and he swings the game in their favor. No matter the game. No matter the game. Poker, blackjack, 3-card, he could rig the game any way he needed to. And it is glorious. Then there are those I purposefully fuck over. These idiots are dumb enough to bring big sums to the table without getting familiar with me. So for their ignorance, I take them for everything they have, and through debt, put them so goddamn deep in my pocket that they'll never come out. As I stand over the banker's son with a wrench in my hand and a grin on my face, in the back room of my joint, I can't help but revel in the feeling of complete dominance. He's shaking and shivering like a little baby, but I tap the head of my wrench on his knee to get his attention. You're in the hole, kiddo. I sneer at him. What are you going to do to pay me back, huh? I'm good for the money. he stammered, almost as if I'm an overbearing parent and he's my scared little child. I just need some fucking time. Yeah, well, you aren't in debt tomorrow or the week after. You're in debt right fucking now. So what do you have for me? My long fingernails click on the cold metal of the wrench, and with each little tap, I can see that he's flinching, as if the mere sound were itself a blow from this thing. I have to hold back my laughter. I'll pay you back. My dad, he owns a bank. He can help me out. You'll get it by tomorrow. Or my guys come and take it. Yeah, whatever you want. He got up to leave, but I pushed him back down with the wrench. He looked at me quizzically, but I still stood over him with the wrench in my hand, tapping it in my palm and grinning maniacally down at him. Where do you think you're going? I asked. Home? I raised the wrench over my head, and as I brought it down on his patella, I heard the telltale crack of it splintering into an innumerable number of pieces. He let out a blood-curdling scream and toppled off the chair, while I replaced the wrench on the wall, his howls echoing around the room. He probably thinks somebody's going to hear him, but that's not going to happen. This room is soundproofed, and he's not going to be heard, not by anybody but me. Just a little insurance, kiddo. If you fail to pay me back, my guys come back and do what I just did. But everywhere on you. He squealed with fear and ran off, but he couldn't get through the door until I unlocked it and allowed him outside. He ran off into the dark, and I closed it behind him. Before I get back out onto the floor, I fix my hair and freshen my makeup, smiling into my hand mirror before going outside. I'm in one of the most popular venues of mine, which sports a few poker tables, a couple blackjack tables, some craps, and a roulette table. Nice little establishment, and by far the most lucrative of mine. Up in downtown, I have another small parlor and my high-stakes poker. And in the Barrows and in Doghouse, I have a couple 3-card dealers, not enough to rake any real cash, but enough to keep my presence there. The high-stakes poker brings in a lot of money really fast, but I have to do it sparingly to keep the cops off my ass. A bunch of idiotic laws make unlicensed gambling illegal, so as long as I keep the right people paid off, it doesn't really bother me. Not unless the police catch wind. I get up to the bar and order a gin martini. I hate the taste, but it makes me look sophisticated. Eric finds me and sits next to me, showing me the winnings he'd skimmed that evening. Winnings? I asked quietly, taking a sip as I look at the money. Really good, Scarlett. Bit of a profit today. Everything good here? I asked, wiping a little gin from my lips. Yeah, I think as long as... Suddenly the glass shattered in my hand and I feel the sharp sting as it cuts through my palm, blood spilling thick and fast down my hand. Eric scrambled to get some paper towels to mop it up as the bartender reached down to get the first aid kit, and all the while I'm groaning and cursing under my breath. Fuck, god damn it. I mumble under my breath as I press a gauze filled with antiseptic against my cut. Eric mopped up the blood, then came over to me, taking over and properly fixing up the dressings. I smile at him as he finishes up. You're the best, I said with a grin. I know, Scarlett. I see the door open from the opposite side of the room, but before I can even finish saying my greeting, I realize who it is. Liam DeLucello, the motherfucker. He's a sneaky little bastard with a dapper little suit and slick back hair that makes it seem as though he's saying, I'm the best in the fucking world. He notices me and takes a seat, ordering a bourbon and giving me a crooked smile. How's it going, Scarlett? He asks, extending his hand. He reeks of expensive cologne, and I almost want to laugh at how lame it is. I take his hand and gently shake it, and I feel as if some of his grime is still on my hand. It's going all right, Liam. What do you want here? Gee, Scarlett, I'm just a friend, checking up on another friend, he said, raising his hands. Am I not allowed to check up on you, Scarlett? What do you want, Liam? I ask again. He bristled but smiled again as he leaned back. I guess I just wanted to let you know that I saw some of your Monty guys in my turf. I know it probably wasn't intentional, but I can't just have a major competitor waltzing around in my territory, you know that. What did you do? I asked, the blood running cold in my veins. Nothing. I mean, as long as you count cold-blooded murder, nothing. I could feel rage boiling up inside me like a heater, cooking the blood in my veins as I looked on that fucking prick. He's still just sitting there with a dopey smile and sucking down that cheap bourbon, and I want nothing more than to put a bullet through his fucking eyeball. He stands and puts the cup down, smiling as he turned away. Always good to see you, Scarlett. Come visit me anytime. He leaves, and Eric is afraid to look back at me. He turns his head and realizes that I ain't frowning at stomping my feet. I'm smiling. That scares him more. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna hurt his business, Eric. You're gonna kill his Monty dealers? What? No, I'm gonna do something worse. I don't want to ask. St. Michael Hotel. Nice little joint, especially for a high-stakes game. Doesn't have the clean and pristine feel of Hotel Osiris, but it has its charm. He's probably going to rent out the penthouse for this particular game. And as I see some people file in, I realize that most of them are high rollers. There's a wealthy actress, 2 startup guys, 3 lobbyists, a well-off contractor, and weirdly, a pharma rep from Brennecorp. He's probably trying to get some favors from those big companies, the consortium. The little bastard. They all sit down at the table, and for the first few hands, nothing really happens. Just some money gets passed around. Then there's a break, and the players all refresh their drinks and smoke cigars out on the balcony. As I wait for the people to finish up, I'm looking at the fake skybox above us as Eric fiddles with something in his hand. Is this a good idea, Scarlett? He asks finally. It's the best idea I've ever had. Why do you ask? It's just, won't Liam retaliate after this? Probably. But what can that shrimp do? He's quiet, but I realize that maybe I haven't thought this through. Then again, Liam is a little bastard that needs to be put in his place. The game starts up again, and I realize that they're playing with big numbers this time. This looks like a good hand, because I'm looking at $4.3 million in the pot, judging by the chips. I've had bigger pots, but that isn't a small sum. Okay, let our guy know, I say to Eric. As he pulls out his phone and starts talking, I see something happen with the dealer and my jaw drops. Holy shit, Eric, he just took a fat rake. How much? Let's see, 4.3 million, and he took around 850,000. Fuck me, that's almost 20%. Jesus Christ, that cheeky little fucker. The most I've ever taken was 7%. Who the hell does he think he is? Eric stops me with his hand as he's listening to whoever's on the phone. Then he hands it to me. Hey there, Sergeant Booker.
He took a rake? Are you sure?
I'm more than sure, I said. 850,000 or so.
Fuck me, the commissioner's not gonna like that. He plays that game.
Way to tell me something I already know. That's a shame.
Alright, you guys better scramble. We're moving in.
Eric and I leave the rooftop as I hear sirens approaching from the distance. That's how you win over the police. Again. I can't believe that worked, I drunkenly shouted, holding a half-full bottle of vodka in my hand. That cheeky fucker didn't see anything coming.
Yep, I doubt he's gonna come back for that, Eric said, sipping lightly on his beer.
It was so goddamn hilarious.
Yeah, sure it was.
You need more beer and I need more liquor. Come on, let's celebrate. Suddenly my phone vibrates, and it's a number I don't recognize. I pick it up and give my customary greeting. Good morning, I said. It's nighttime. Scarlett. It's fucking Liam. I feel the color drain from my face somewhat, then put the phone to speaker. Well, hello, Liam. Eric came to attention and stood by the phone. One of my high-stakes games just got raided. Oh no, I said, holding back laughter. That's terrible. Yeah, he said, and I could hear the anger in his voice. It wasn't you guys, was it? That'd be a real shame. Oh no, it wasn't us. We're friends, I said, Eric covering his mouth as he laughed. I could feel the tension in the silence until he finally spoke again. I see. Well, good night, Scarlett. Hope you're doing all right. You too, Liam. The call cuts off and the two of us are roaring like maniacs. It was so goddamn funny to hear him so obviously pissed. The guy that always keeps his composure. Did you hear that? I howled. God, I wish I recorded it. That was fucking gold, Scarlett. Exactly. I'm not a woman, sorry. I go to refill my drink, but suddenly I hear the squealing of tires somewhere down the road. In a moment of panic, I realized what was happening, and just in the nick of time, Eric and I drop to the floor as gunfire screams from outside, bullets ripping through the establishment and tearing up the walls and bar. I feel a few of them graze my arms, but mostly I'm just coughing as shards of wood and glass shower over me in the torrent of bullets. I don't know when it'll end, but they just keep coming and coming. Then, the bar falls silent, and I pick myself up and lean against the inside of the bar as I look for anything to wrap up my arms with. Eric! Eric, are you alright? I call as I retrieve a fallen bottle of gin and pour it over my wounds. I wince from the pain, then tear off a piece of my dress to wrap tightly around my upper arm and stop the bleeding. Eric, damn it! What the hell's the matter with you? He didn't answer. He never answered. I guess these things do happen. Somehow, a bullet passed through the outer wall of my joint, into a poker table, and through Eric's head. I would normally call it impressive if it was someone else's blood pooling on the ground in front of me and not Eric's. Seeing him bleeding out, turning white and cold, is numbing my brain. My internal process is coming to a grinding halt. as I sit in the ruins of my joint, pounding a bottle of vodka in one hand and looking on his seeping corpse with swollen, bleary eyes. Light is peeking through the eastern window of my bar. Light refracting off the piles of light refracting off the piles of broken glass all over the floor that surround me. I want to drink till I fucking die. But this numbness isn't enough to bury my feelings. Just 4 hours ago, we were laughing and drinking like idiots. Now he's fucking gone. I take a long breath to steady myself, but it didn't really help. I stood and reached into my purse, feeling around it until I found my phone. I scrolled through it until I find the number for my Monty guys and call them up. It takes a few tries, but I finally wake them up. Scarlet, Jesus, it's so early in the morning. The Monty guy groaned. Don't really know his name, haven't really spoken to him before. Go to Mitsuyu. Tell him Scarlet sent you. Ask them to give you the works. And put it on my tab. What are you talking about, the works? Then meet me in Upper Japantown. Upper Japantown? That's Liam's territory. Damn right. Just fucking do it and meet me there in the afternoon. I turned and walked out of my joint, but I didn't feel this terrible sadness anymore. It was replaced with only one thing. Bloodlust. Miss Hayes, you aren't allowed in here, said one of the guards in front of the Star of the Sea. It was noon out, but the neon lighting was still ablaze and painting the facade in a beautiful array of colors. I'm here to speak to Liam, you little shit. Tell him I'm here. I spat at him. He shook his head. I've been told you're not allowed on the premises. I'm sorry. All right, then, tell him this. I'm here to gamble with him privately. His eyebrow raised ever so slightly. Then he turned and put his finger to his ear as he spoke. He waited a moment, then turned and looked back to me. Then nodded and turned back to me. With what collateral? I puffed out my chest and raised the bag in my hand. My entire empire. The money, the land, everything I have, I'll stake it on a game against them. You can't be serious. Do I look like I'm fucking joking, kiddo? Just tell Liam what I'm offering. He turned away again, then motioned inside. Liam has arranged a table on the top floor. You'll be escorted in. Thanks, kiddo. The men lead me through his place, and it's gaudy to say the least. The guy's white, and yet this place is decked out with so much Neo-Tokyo shit that it hurts my fucking eyes. They lead me across the empty floor into the elevator in the back, and after patting me down, they let me in. They push the button for the top floor and let it close, and as I'm whisked upward, I can't help but feel as though I might not make it out. The door opens and I follow a long hallway down to the door at the very end, and when I open it, I feel as though I've been transported to Japan. The floor is made of bamboo and the walls are made out of screens, and sitting in the middle is fucking Liam, a smile spread wide across his face as he sits cross-legged and stares at me. Oh dear, where's Eric? Shut the fuck up and let's play. Sure, but what game? I look around at the scenery, then smile. You ever played Hancho? He smirked. Of course I know Hancho. Well, I want to play Hancho. He snapped his fingers, and a woman in a kimono retrieved a mat and 2 die and sat between us as I plopped down across from Liam. She looked at the pair of us, then presented the die. I held them, and as I turned them over in my hand, I realized that they were weighted. That works in my favor, though. Are the dice to your liking? The woman asked. I nodded. Yep. Please, present your bets. Liam pulled out a little note and threw it in the center, smirking at me. 10 million. Roughly how much your little empire's worth. I grimaced at him. My empire. The woman nodded. Bets are made. Players, prepare yourselves. She shook the dice in her hand as she retrieved a little cup, and with a swift motion she hurled them into the cup, then turned it over and slammed it down, covering the die. Place your bets, she called out. Liam motioned toward me and chuckled a little. You go first, Scarlet. Wouldn't want you to think I'm wasting your time. I remembered the feel of the dice, what the answer is. Cho, I said with feeling. Liam smirked. Han. The woman raised the cup, and I looked on it. 6, of course. What I assumed I'd see underneath the cup. Liam sputtered. then began to laugh a cruel laugh, gripping his sides and rolling back on his arms as he cackled. You fucking moron. I weighted those dice. You walked right into my den and you thought I wasn't gonna rig the game? How stupid can one person get? You're the dumbest fucking broad I've ever seen. Yeah, I said lightly, gently running my hand down my thigh and eyeing Liam hungrily. I sure did walk into a trap, and I guess now you own everything I have. Jesus Christ, who would have thought that crushing you was gonna be this easy? I should have done it years ago. Sure, I said, gripping something small in between my fingers. But tell me something, Liam. Who else knows about this game? What? He asked. Only us, I guess, and my men. Why the hell does that matter? I suddenly jumped from my seat and slashed at the woman, cutting her throat and spilling her blood across the pristine floor. Liam screamed and reached into his pocket, and though he was able to retrieve a pistol and fire 2 shots, one in my side and one in my left arm, that wasn't going to stop me, not when I was this close. I shoved the little knife into his throat, and he topples back as he starts choking on his own blood, coughing it up and spraying it all across the floor. I limp over to him and straddle him so that his face is laying right in front of me. And before I knew it, I was pounding at that fucking skull of his, the sounds of bones cracking and skin tearing, becoming such a sweet fucking symphony as I batter him further and further into the floor. He can only manage a wet, gurgling wheeze as I turn his face into mush. And soon I noticed that one of his eyes had popped out and was hanging off to the side. And as a cruel smile stretches across my face, I pound him further and further into the bamboo floor until I'm basically punching chunks. I stand on shaky knees as I hear something from the floors below. Something percussive, let's say that. Percussive from the floors below. And I turn and walk with a confident stride back to the elevator and take it down. The doors open and I limp out to see that the main floor is covered in the bodies of his henchmen. My Monty dealers standing over them with a military-grade weaponry and looking at me with concern. Madam? As one of the Monty dealers asked. Man, I really did slide through this, huh? I turn to look at him with wild eyes, and he shrinks back. Are you all right? I'm fine. Clean this fucking place up, then report to me. We ain't done yet, not by a long shot. Bada boom. Story successfully narrated.